Good morning everyone, Janie here and welcome back to my garden. I hope you all are having a fantastic day today. It is early morning, the sun is just starting to pop up over the horizon and I can feel it's gonna be a hot day today, a hot summer day. So this morning, before it got too hot and before the sun got too high with too many shadows, I wanted to give you all a tour of my backyard for June. It's looking gorgeous, everything is filled in, everything is thriving. Some things are suffering a little bit because we have been getting triple-digit heat, but it's looking fantastic. Before I get started, I did want to preface this tour with letting you all know that I do have young kids and this is our backyard that we live in, and it's getting a little rough. It's been well used, I should say. Every year, once school gets out, we have a summer kickoff barbecue. We had that last weekend. The girls, I have two young girls, they're 7 and 8. They've been out here swimming every single day. I love it. I really think it's important. You know, we live in California and real estate here is insane, so we do not have a big house, and I think it's important to use every square inch of livable space that we have as much as possible, and we definitely have been doing that. You can kind of see it in my garden a little bit, you know, a pool floaty flew into this bush or, you know, something like that, but that's okay. That's where I'm at in my life right now. That's the season I'm at, and everything is really beautiful. I just wanted to say that, and I know it's just me just looking at it and, you know, seeing all the flaws, but you know, I just have to say that before I show you all. So let's get started. Okay, so here is a quick overview of what the yard's looking like. I have plants absolutely everywhere, and the reason for that is it's too hot for me to put my plants into my greenhouse right now. You know, it gets to be triple digits. Yesterday I think was 104, and the plants bake in the greenhouse. So I take them out and I put them in kind of a shadier spot. This is right underneath our pergola, just so that they don't fry. All these plants right here are for a project that I have planning for my mother's house in about 2 weeks. I would say I'm going to go up there, so I'm really just trying to take care of these plants as much as possible. I ordered all of these online because I couldn't find them at any local garden centers, and I'm just trying to keep them happy until I can get them in the ground. So you can see I've got stuff everywhere. But that's okay, it's kind of pretty. I did make a bouquet on Monday. I'm doing a make a bouquet every Monday for the rest of the year. That's my new kind of series or plan or challenge that I'm trying to do. And this was my harvesting bucket that I used, and I did get some of this mountain snow euphorbia. I cut it, but it was so funny. As soon as I cut it, I'm not super familiar with this. This is usually used as a filler. When I cut it, it looked like it died. It just kind of limped over, and I ended up not putting it in my bouquet for this week because I thought it had died, and I just left it out here. I was just being lazy. There's still water in there and everything like that, and it's totally perked back up. So I guess mountain snow euphorbia is just one that you have to let rehydrate for a while because now it looks gorgeous. So I think I'm gonna have to make 2 bouquets for this week just so I can use up this beautiful filler. I love it. It's got this white variegation or border on the edge. It's just really, really beautiful. Behind there, I have a couple orchids that my neighbor gave me. I'm gonna go over and I'm gonna help her divide her orchids. I know nothing about orchids. I have to research all of this and figure out how I'm gonna do it. But she gave me these orchids that she had divided. She doesn't even remember what colors they are. This one is struggling. This one needs to be changed out, but I have my orchid mix. I have pots for it. It's all ready to go. I just have to get to that. And then I have to go to her house and help her. She has gorgeous, gorgeous, beautiful orchids. So I'm excited about that. I still have these 2 pots that I've done nothing with, and I need to get on that. And then right behind there, I have my veggie garden that is looking beautiful. It's almost too much. This month I had, this is my zucchini plant, and then I had a crookneck squash right there. And the crookneck squash, I don't know, it just wasn't doing very well. It's funny, I was talking to my friend who was also growing crookneck squash, and hers is kind of struggling this season as well. So I ended up just pulling mine out so that I would still have more room for the eggplant I have right there. I mean, it was even covering up my basil. So I definitely want basil for summer. So I'm pretty glad I took that out. I do have these cucumbers still growing up along this trellis, and it's working really, really well. You can see I have all the blooms, the blossoms, and then I just take these pieces and I just twine them around and I just keep them going. I have no plans for once it reaches the top, but this is what I'm going with right now. Let's see. I do have my tomatoes. This is my Good-Hearted tomato from Proven Winners. Look at all the tomatoes on that plant. I mean, that is crazy. That is going to be so many tomatoes that we have. This one right here, I don't remember the name of it. Let me see. This is Garden Gem. So this one's about to go. Well, I feel like they're going to get a little bit bigger. And then over there, that one is the Bellini one. And that's a indeterminate tomato, so it's just going to keep growing. So yeah, so my veggie garden is looking good, except for my Bougainvillea. I've decided I'm going to stop fertilizing my Bougainvillea. I told you guys earlier this year that I was going to try fertilizing with palm and hibiscus fertilizer for Bougainvillea. But what I'm having trouble with Bougainvillea is too much green growth and not enough bracts. And there's two reasons that could happen: too much fertilizer and too much water. And so these are not connected to drip. These are barely getting any water except for the overspill from the everything else that's getting water, so that could definitely contribute to it. But I had been fertilizing it once a month with palm and hibiscus fertilizer, which is when I was doing all my research, I found that should be a good fertilizer for it. However, I think it's just too much green growth. I mean, look at all this. This is too much, and these are all like suckers, right? These are not even, they're not even gonna get any bracts on it. So it's not like it's worth it at all. And I've already pruned it once this month, and now I obviously have to come back and prune it again. And you can see the bracts back there, they're happy, they have blooms on them. But up here, this is just too much green growth. So long story short, I'm gonna stop fertilizing it for the rest of the season and see what happens. And I've read a lot of people that just don't fertilize their Bougainvillea. So I'm gonna try that for a while and see how it goes. All right, so moving up here, here's my pergola, and here's my purple hyacinth bean that I grow from seed. And it's looking gorgeous. Look at these beautiful blooms. Absolutely gorgeous. So this one I planted on purpose, and then this one over here I did not plant. It was a volunteer from last year when I had it, and it just happened to grow in absolutely the perfect spot. So I just came in and I added some twine and some nails for it to grow up, and I mean, it's almost matching the one that I have over here. So really, really beautiful. I love this one. It can get out of control. I know a lot of people in the South say it gets way too out of control and it starts growing up your roof and all that kind of stuff. For me, like last year, it got up kind of to the top of the pergola, but that was it. And then once we had a frost, it all died and I just pulled it all out, so it was fine. So if you have a similar climate like I do, this is a fantastic vine. I think it's beautiful, and it just brings that lush green goodness to an area, worth one seed, like one easy peasy cheap seed. And you can see all these pods right here, those are filled with seeds. So when I harvested seeds from my plant last year, and I got, I mean, like a cup full of seeds, and then I finally just stopped harvesting because I knew I had enough. So for this year, I'm gonna have plenty as well. I just love this plant. I think it's so fantastic, and I just think it adds so much to your garden. Okay, so back over to our living area. This is our, I know you can't tell because I have my plants on the table. As long as it's not too hot, we eat out here, we eat dinner out here, sometimes even breakfast, almost every day. Like I said, it's an extension of our living space and we love it. But of course I have my plants stored there because yesterday was really hot. So we did not eat there last night. So over here, I have a couple of my pots. All these pots are annuals from Proven Winners, and they are gorgeous. They're absolutely beautiful. This one right here is the lemonade stand recipe. So if you go on the Proven Winners websites and you look up the recipes, even if you look up just one particular plant, it will tell you what they're very compatible with, what they work well with in a combination, and they call them recipes. And then they name their recipes these really cute names. So for this one, this is the lemonade stand, and it is Supertunia limoncello that's just looking so beautiful this year. I love it. Luscious citron lantana, and then Superbells yellow, and it's all just filling in. I did want to show you guys right here. If you see your Supertunias start to look like this is the sign of budworms. And I think I had sprayed BT, so I think I got it. I did find one budworm on here last week, right before I sprayed, but I just wanted to leave this on here so you guys could see what a budworm damage looks like. Here you can see little holes that's starting to get budworm damage, but once you start seeing your, oh, here's a good one. Once you start seeing your Supertunias look like this and kind of look chewed, most likely you have budworms. And the best thing to do is spray BT, which is totally natural. It comes from the soil. It just deals with the budworm caterpillars. It does deal with all caterpillars, so you want to be careful where you spray your BT. You don't want to spray it on milkweed where the monarchs are going to lay their eggs or anything like that. But for Supertunias, it works really well. And I just go ahead and I spray it once a week to every other week. But that is a perfect example of what budworm damage looks like. So this is the lemonade stand recipe. Then right here, this one is suffering a little bit in the heat. This is Sunstar Pink Pentas. You can see, I mean, it's fine. You can see pretty ones back there, but when it gets really hot over triple digits, I can tell that these flowers are just kind of not as happy. So that's okay. I mean, it's supposed to mimic a hydrangea, for heat, for hot areas, and I think it does do that. But it's also just it's a little stressed out, I would say, in this area, and it might be because I put it in too small of a pot. This one right here is Fancy Footwork Recipe, and this is Safari Sky James Britannia, which is absolutely gorgeous, and the hotter it gets, the more it thrives. It's absolutely wonderful. I have it over here in this one. Here I have unplugged So Pink Salvia, and I don't know if you guys can tell, but all these blooms are done. They're absolutely done. This is the color of the flower that it's supposed to be. This one bloomed really quickly, and then this one over here lagged a little bit, and so you can see there's way more color on this one. So I just need to cut that one back, and then it'll flush back, but you can see this is what the Fancy Footwork Recipe from Proven Winners is supposed to look like, and you can see there's already a bee on it. Pollinators love this plant. I mean, they have been on it all day, all night, not all night, but all day long, they're always on it. And then these are my 2 new stock tanks that I'm planning to plant up as a pollinator garden. So I'm just super excited. I feel like these bees are just going to be loving their life in my garden. Right under here, I have the vintage wine basket recipe that has been such a hit. This is High Noon Euryops, which is, it's a relative of a sunflower. It's called a bush daisy, and it just keeps sending out these little yellow flowers. It's gorgeous. There's a couple that I do need to deadhead, and I haven't been on it, but it's just looking beautiful. That's mixed with the Violet Ice Superbena and then the Supertunia Bordeaux, and I just love this. I think the vintage wine basket is a perfect description for this recipe, and I think it's really, really beautiful. And then right to the left of it, this is just a combination that I put together. I have Supertunia Royal Velvet right there, and then I have Chocolate Drop Coleus. And the funny thing is, the Chocolate Drop Coleus is taking over the Supertunia Royal Velvet. It's just so funny how these plants act and which ones will take over other ones, you know, like that Chocolate Drop Coleus I had overwintered from last year, and it was nothing. It was like that big, and now it's just getting huge. So absolutely beautiful. I love this mix. Let me get out of the way. I love this mix. I think it's gorgeous, and then I love this mix as well. So pretty. Back here, this is our little patio area. We spend a ton of time here. This right here is a sweetheart lime, sweet Caroline, sweet potato vine that I cannot keep up with watering. It's just too hot, and it's in too small of a pot. So I'm gonna plant this out into my front yard where I want some like pop of color, and I think it'll thrive out there. Better that than it, you know, suffering in this little pot. So yeah, so we spend so much time out here. When this past month I ordered these 2 stock tanks from Home Depot and had them delivered, and got a special surprise. I had this 3rd stock tank. It was nestled in the 2. I called Home Depot. You know, I told them that they had delivered me an extra one. They asked me if I wanted it. I said yes. They said Merry Christmas. Literally, they said Merry Christmas. So I have this extra stock tank. We had the party last weekend, so we just threw all of our pool supplies and equipment. We have more pool supplies. I mean, we have so many pool toys, you guys. It's ridiculous. But we just threw it in there for now. But I do not want to waste the stock tank on a pool supplies container. I'm gonna put those in, you know, in these plastic white bins, you know, the cheapo white bins that I have back here, and I'm gonna think of something fun. I already have a couple ideas for what I want to do with that stock tank, so really excited. Project to come. I did want to point out we got this hammock chair. It's just hanging on our pergola up there. This thing has been we use it all the time. So if you guys are on the fence about getting a hammock chair or a hammock, I mean, get it. It's so wonderful. I love it. I love coming out here to sit in here and drink my coffee, and it's just fantastic. So just a little thing, you know, that you add to your garden, to your home, and it just can make such a difference. So I just wanted to point that out. All right, let me come over here. Here's my Purple Queen Bougainvillea. It's out of bloom right now. These are just the old bracts on it, which is totally normal, but it's still happy. It's totally thriving. It just kind of comes in and out of bloom. You can see there's some new bracts right there. It's gonna have another flush of color. I have found that I have been watering this way more, and it's obviously just because it's hot. Oh, here's the little sucker I need to take off. It's just been really, really hot lately, hot and dry, I would say. And last year I did have this hooked up to drip, and I took it off drip this year, as I did my Meyer lemon tree. And I've been watering these two way more, so I think I actually am going to hook them back up on drip and see how they handle it and see how they do. With Bougainvillea, like I said, if you don't want too much leafy growth, you don't want to water too much. And so that's the thing I'm always watching, especially for this Purple Queen standard. I always want to make sure that I'm not watering it too much. All right, so then over here, these are my new stock tanks. I've potted up this one, or I've planted up this one. This one I'm saving. I have a bunch of plants from Proven Winners that I want to put in here. These are going to be pollinator friendly gardens. And a part of the reason why I want them pollinator friendly is because I don't want to spray BT on them. I want to protect them. And then I also want I wanted a really good place for my milkweed. So this is milkweed that I grew from seed. This is showy milkweed, I think. It looks like showy milkweed. It could be narrow leaf milkweed. I did both of them. Like I was saying in my stock tank planting up video, I am having the hardest time with milkweed right now. I feel like I keep killing it. I grew it more from seed, other ones from seed, and I planted them out in a pollinator garden in my town, and a native pollinator garden. And then I went on vacation and we had a heat wave and they fried and they died. So I didn't have those. I had two more. This one is totally struggling. I don't know what's wrong with it. It's just not happy. This one is doing really well, and it had a really good root system, so I have high hopes for this one. I did find a supplier on Etsy that would send out, they have all different varieties of milkweed. Super, super cool. So for monarchs, monarchs lay their eggs on milkweed. It's the only thing that their larvae will eat. You have to find the right type of milkweed for your area. So you can look that up on monarchwatch.org or just do a Google search and find out what type of milkweed is good for your area. And they're kind of hard to find. They're really hard to find in plant form. So I did find this poor dead plant from Midwest Perennials on Etsy. This was not their fault. This was totally my fault because I left the plant outside in 106-degree heat. It totally got crispy and fried, but as I was planting this up, I yanked this out to toss it and the roots looked beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So I am leaving it in here just to see what happens. I'll check the roots again in maybe a month or two and see what's going on. But right now I'm just gonna leave it and see if it will kind of flush back. Because I'm telling you, the roots look totally alive and good. I have my Truffula Pink Gomphrena and my Mystic Spires Blue Salvia, both excellent pollinator plants. And then right here, I sowed all my sunflower Steve seeds. I got them, they're specially bred, you know, like special sunflowers, really cool sunflowers that you actually can't get. And he had a special sale, so I went ahead and I purchased those. I splurged on those and I sowed the seeds right here. So I'm just waiting for them to pop up. So you can see my greenhouse is basically empty. I'm still using it for potting up stuff. You can see I have soil everywhere, so I'm still using it. It's just too hot to store plants in. That is a Lantana standard back there that is not doing well, but they like heat, so I'm not worried about that. I do have my caladium bulbs from Proven Winners. I planted these up a couple months ago. They're doing well. They're starting to pop up. I'm gonna try and use these for cut flowers, like filler and cut flowers, but I want, you know, the leaves, they're gorgeous, but I want the leaves, obviously. This is too small to use in a cut flower arrangement. I think I might put some of these up by my front door as well, depending on how well they grow. So I have two different varieties. I have Snowdrift, Heart to Heart Caladium Snowdrift, and then I have Heart to Heart Lemon Blush as well. Did get a little scorched, but still looking pretty. And then right here, I have my honeysuckle, and it's still blooming a little bit up there. This is another plant that the pollinators absolutely love, and I actually made honeysuckle iced tea a couple weeks ago. It was delicious, you guys. It was so good. If you have honeysuckle plants, try making that honeysuckle iced tea because it was so yummy. And I'm probably gonna do that. I'm probably gonna harvest those and make some more of that because it was so good and so refreshing. I do have two limelight hydrangeas. It's so funny. This one blooms out so much faster than the other one, and it's just, I mean, they're so close to each other, yet that one blooms so much faster. This one still has, it has buds all over it. So it's about to go, it's about to start. I actually think I'm gonna move some of these because they're gonna start getting in the way. But this one over here, this one's looking gorgeous. I love limelights. They're probably one of my favorite flowers. They were my wedding flower. Well, hydrangeas were my wedding flower. Hydrangeas are really hard to grow here in Zone 9B just because we get so hot, but limelight hydrangeas are perfect. They grow so well. They'll even grow in the sun. They do better in part shade like this area. This is shaded by the honeysuckle, but they will grow, and I have two of them in my front yard. They're in full sun that are totally bloomed out at this point. So yeah, they're just a fantastic hydrangea to have if you live in a hot zone like I do. Right over here, I have these two woolly topiaries. This is my Texas privet right here, and then this is a juniper spiral that I got off the clearance rack from Lowe's. You know, I just haven't been on them. I've just been too busy, too much stuff going on. This is my husband's favorite flower that I have in my garden, and I have them all over. This is the Sparkling Amethyst Superbena. This one I wintered over from last year, and it is in this pot, and it is in a little too much shade, and you can see it's kind of splitting in the middle. So I think that this is the last year I'm going to leave this in, and then I'm going to take it out and I'll either replace it with a brand new one or try something else in this pot for a while. Right up here is the Supertunia Blue Skies that has just been so beautiful this year. I can see this color. It's like electrifying. I can see this color all the way from inside, in my kitchen and in my living room, and I'm just really enjoying this color so much. And then here I have a mix of Supertunia Vista Snowdrift and Supertunia Bubblegum. So just a kind of a purpley mix that I think is looking really beautiful. I love this. You can't even see. Can you see that? These are the containers. They're from MPG Planters, and I got them from Home Depot, and I love them. All right, this whole area, still nothing. So if you guys have been watching my garden tours, you know that this whole area has just been kind of like a blank space for me. It's just kind of been a limiting factor in the progress of my garden, and I don't know why. It's just there's things that I want to do. I did have Kim from the Southern Daisy. She gave me some really good advice on things to do, but that costs a lot of money, and so I obviously can't do it right now. Gavin, he is a viewer, and he is, I want to say, obsessed with roses. David Austin roses. You know you are, Gavin. He told me that the, I'm going to say it wrong, Roald Dahl, I'll write it on the screen. He told me that those roses, those apricot roses, do really good in some shade. So I actually put my name on the wait list for 3 of those. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3. So I at least have something planned, but I'm on the wait list for those. I can't get them yet, and it's too hot to plant them yet anyway. So that is something that I'm planning to do here. Gavin, I'm putting those roses in, but other than that, I'm not totally sure. I think I'm going to start with those and then start kind of building up from there, and getting taller as I go back. And again, I do want to do some pretty heavy duty like hardscaping in this area, but we don't have that in the budget right now. That's okay. Look at how pretty that looks with the sun coming up. Gorgeous. Okay, so more honeysuckles. Hall's Japonica is the variety. I do have this Elegantissima dogwood, and I do have this Wichita Blue Juniper. In front of there, I transplanted a couple boxwoods from my front window box, and they're doing really well. I also transplanted some of these purple fountain grass, and they're doing really well as well. These guys are going to start getting huge soon. So we'll see what happens with those. So I think this whole space is kind of just filling in. But I did add, so I was talking about the Sparkling Amethyst Superbena. This is the Sparkling Rosé Superbena, and I had never tried it. I ordered these online. I think they're gorgeous. They are taking a little bit longer to flush out and to bloom than the Sparkling Amethyst, and that might just be the spot, because you can see this is totally west facing, so it only gets hot afternoon sun, but it's still a full sun spot. So I'm just waiting for them to fill out, and then I'm waiting for the boxwoods to fill out as well, and I'm going to trim the boxwoods into spheres right there. So I think that'll be a really pretty area once it does start growing in. And then over here, I have my tutor. I just made a new one of these for my mom, my parents, so you guys can watch that video if you guys are interested in how I made that. I did a much better job on the one I made for my parents. This was my first one that I was just playing with. But over here, look at my Bobos. So these are Bobo hydrangeas. These are I think of these as tiny versions of limelights. I just think they're beautiful. It's so funny because I had it in my mind that I wanted Bobo hydrangeas. I wanted them around my crepe myrtle garden bed in the front yard. and we couldn't find them anywhere. I was looking for about 6 months to find them. I couldn't get them online, all that kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden they were everywhere. It was like the grower had finally started growing them. So I got 5 from my front yard, and then I found 3 more, and I just threw them back here. And I cannot wait for them to get their full size. I think they're gonna be beautiful. I interspersed with some Supertunia Royal Velvet here, and I just think it's gonna be beautiful with that Totour in the background. Gorgeous. So I really love this garden bed. I do want to add a little bit more of this blue color from the Wichita Blue. I want to add, I don't know, something around here so that I can have more of that. I don't know if I should put in some Helen von Stein or something, but I just love this garden. This part of the garden bed is looking gorgeous, and I would love to extend this feel this way. I think that that would be so, so beautiful. All right, so moving this way, I have my 2 berry barrels that I have my blueberries. I have 2 different varieties of blueberries and then 2 different varieties of strawberries growing around them. They're doing really well, especially these seascape strawberries. We have been picking on them nonstop. Look at how good that looks. And they're delicious too. So seascape strawberries, I wasn't familiar with these. I found them at the garden center and I am loving them. Over here is the Quinault variety that I am not loving and I will not do it again. I'm gonna do more seascape. Here's these. I mean, they're fine. They look good. They're just a little bit more mealy than you can see. I've just left them. I really should take these off. But we just don't pick off these. My girls come out here almost every day and pick off these seascape strawberries that are gorgeous. And this is kind of our storage area, so ignore that. These are for a project that I have coming up. I don't want to tell you guys what I'm planning to do with them, but let me know in the comments section if you can guess what I'm planning to do with them. I'm really excited about that. It should be a really, really great project to do, and I'm excited to share it with you guys. Right here, I have my hashtag single seed challenge 2022 seed. This is Purple Rain Tomato. I do have some tomatoes starting back there. This plant is like intense. It is like so thick, and I need to go in there and I need to prune out some just for a little bit. Look at that. That tomato is squished by that tomato. It's too funny. It's just like an intense plant. So I need to go in. I am not good at veggies, you guys. I am not totally versed in veggies. I would love to get better at veggies, and it's something that I'm gonna be working on. But I started off gardening as, you know, flower gardening, because that was kind of my passion. So I'm a little behind with the veggies and the pruning and harvesting and, you know, and all that kind of stuff. But I just find it so funny how intensely thick this Purple Rain tomato is. All right, and then you can see over here, gorgeous. These are my 3 big white pots, again with annuals from Proven Winners. I have the Suncredible Sunflowers. I have the Augusta Lavender Heliotrope that's so beautiful. It's just popping its little head out. It's just really pretty. And then the Supertunia Mini Vista Pink Star. So, so beautiful. I love it. I love this is my bedroom window and I can look out and I can see these guys. They're so beautiful. Absolutely love it. The Suncredible Sunflowers, I mean, when I planted these, I planted one in the back and I put nothing in the middle. And I got some people saying, how come you didn't plant a center plant? How come you didn't plant anything in the middle? Well, this is why. I mean, it's already too big for it. And I knew I was pushing it with the size, and I knew that it was gonna kind of lean out a little bit, but I just love it. It looks so full and it looks so like lush and summery. So I'm really, really enjoying it. Right below that, I do have the Evolvulus Blew My Mind XL. It is still morning, so the flowers haven't popped open yet, but as soon as the sun hits them, the flowers are gonna pop open, and it's so cool, and we are absolutely loving it. And I'm excited because these are gonna be perennials in my area. I live in zone 9B, and I think that they're just gonna be a beautiful staple right there. Look at this Augusta Lavender. So beautiful, so pretty. All right, I think I'm about done. Oh, one more thing. I do have my micro dwarf tomatoes. Yesterday, Jason came out here and harvested off of them and literally had like 4 cups. I'm not even exaggerating. I wish I got a picture, but I didn't. Like a huge Tupperware full of tomatoes that we harvested from these guys. They are stressed a little bit with the heat. You know, they're in these small pots. This is how you grow them. They don't need to be in any bigger pots than this, but they are getting, there's 2 varieties that are getting really stressed. This variety right here and this variety right here. This one is my favorite. Look at this Bougainvillea. Ridiculous. This one is my favorite. This is called Pinocchio, and this is a micro dwarf. They come, here's a good one. They come out with this orange color. They are so sweet. I love it. It's so fantastic. So I've been eating on this one. I've been secretly coming out and stealing all these. I should really share them, but they're so good. So I think next year I'm just going to do the Pinocchio. This year I tried a whole bunch of different varieties just to see which ones I liked, but I think I'm just going to do the Pinocchio next year. So the cool thing about the micro dwarf tomatoes is that they're so tiny and they're so prolific, and you know, you don't have to have this huge area for a tomato plant. You can just have this tiny little pot and you can put it on your patio, which is fantastic. All right, everyone, I think that is it for my June backyard garden tour. I have to say, as I'm walking around looking at everything really does look beautiful. You know, I think we walk around our gardens and we look at all the things that need to be done or that need to be fixed or pruned or whatever. And I think that we just have to enjoy the beauty for what it is. This garden is a very well-loved and well-used garden. We are out here almost every single day. My kids are out here almost every single day, and that was my whole goal for this garden. I think it's really important when you have a space that you're in all the time, make it as beautiful as possible. I have my window box over by my kitchen window, which I forgot to show you, but I'll show you that in another video. You know, I'm always at my kitchen sink, of course, you know, doing dishes and cooking and everything like that. And that's a place that I've developed into a really beautiful vista that I can look at the beautiful plants. And I feel the same way about my back garden. We're out here all the time. And so I love just developing it and making it a beautiful place that we want to be in. So I hope you all enjoyed this. I think I'm gonna go get myself a cup of coffee and hang out on this hammock and enjoy this beautiful morning. I hope you all have a chance to get into your garden today.